Hey guys, so with this video we're going to get into the what I call the reign of Reagan, the rise of the conservative movement in the 1980s. It's really going to cover in a brief overview President Reagan's 2 terms in office. We're going to look at it um, economically, his impact on the economy at home, and then in terms of foreign policy and the relationship with the Soviet Union and the eventual fall of or end of the Cold War. All right, so we've talked about this before, but we see the election of 1980 as a really pivotal moment for the conservative movement because we know that President Carter had been really battling a horrible economy, incredible or immense stagflation that was crippling U.S. economic power. And to kind of add to that, his foreign policy was floundering. The capture of Americans at the embassy in Tehran was really an embarrassing moment for Carter, and the fact that he attempt after attempt failed to bring these individuals home. Kind of, I would say most embarrassingly, the failed rescue attempt by U.S. Special Forces was probably the most damaging instance. So we see in 1980 that Reagan takes the presidency by storm. Yes, in terms of overall popular vote, he only wins 51%, so it's a relatively tight margin. But when we really look, kind of break it down between Reagan third-party candidates and Carter, we can look at it's small print, but Reagan gets about 51, Carter gets about 41. All right, so there is a big difference, but still Reagan doesn't get that much of a majority. However, with the Electoral College, Reagan bloodies up Carter pretty bad. All right, we see 91% of the Electoral College vote, and to boot that he takes the Senate as well. He being the Republicans, and it was really kind of hinged on this idea of: are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Are you more, or are we safer as a nation? Are we healthy economically? And Reagan just kept on hitting Carter over and over again. And Reagan's rise, not just because he was a prominent California governor, prominent Republican spokesman even before his election, but really he rode the wave of this rising tide of conservatism, starting really with Barry Goldwater in the 1960s, really 1964. But we see that his nomination in 1980 really culminates in this idea that not idea the realization that the average American at the time is older than the average American was in the 1960s, and thus they were more likely to favor the right, the more conservative policies. And this new right movement, which was really spearheaded by the moral majority and its leader, Jerry Falwell. You can see him on the picture on the right hand side. This preacher that kind of captured the focus of America at the time in the 1980s, and Ronald Reagan himself really drove policy, really drove social policy at the time. And we can see the biggest example was with the ERA movement and that kind of rising power of this conservatism in the 1970s and into the 1980s to push back against the liberal, what they saw as this liberal left-leaning, nearly socialist ideology coming out of the Democratic Party. Um, and that kind of social, cultural view of conservatism or within conservatism really also influences the economic side. Right? So Reagan's policies dubbed Reaganomics, um, and he's essentially a diehard conservative, right? Socially and economically. So he's looking to reduce the size of government, size and influence of government. He had believed that really since the New Deal, since FDR, the U.S. government under these Democratic presidents, and even probably he might argue that the Republican presidents had grown too big, had begun to regulate to try to control the American economy, American society a little bit too much. So try to reduce that spending in terms of cuts to certain programs. Certain programs he was not going to touch. Right? We think about Social Security, um, veterans pensions, Medicare, but he was going to go after welfare, food stamps, job training for the poor, health care, Medicaid for the poor. Right? So we see that Reagan and this conservative economic policy has certain goals and perspectives on who it can be deemed more valuable than others. Right? Whether they say it outright, which I would say most of them do not, um, the outcome of their policy and who was cut and what is not cut um, kind of bears that belief out. And we see part of this tax cut plan that Reagan and his followers um, institute is really has a significant impact because they believe in this idea of trickle down economics, where it's like the government gives tax breaks to the wealthy, to these large corporations that they're going to use, then are going to use that accumulated wealth to reinvest into their companies, into their workforce, into the economy as a whole, and then eventually that prosperity will trickle down. So it's going to start off at the top. The wealthiest individuals are going to get the greatest tax break, right? So they're going to be able to save money. They're going to then turn that money into investing into the broader economy, and that's going to help everyone else. If we think about that analogy, that image of pouring chocolate sauce over a cone, an ice cream cone, right? The top gets the most, but then it eventually trickles down uh, to everyone else. But right, as a conservative, his defense spending was really mind-boggling for many because it went stark in the face of what he was telling and how he was dealing with other programs, um, other federal spending, other federal control regulation. He's doubling spending on the military, on the Pentagon, at the same time he's telling Medicare program or Medicaid, food stamps, welfare programs that they have less, and this really drives home that this drives deeper, not home, sorry, drives deeper that this gap between the rich and the poor, and we see this where this belief that they had that these wealthy people would then reinvest their money and it would spur economic growth. It did to an extent, right? But it was for themselves, not for everyone else, right? Where we see that they are using that money to make themselves richer, not to disperse and to spread the overall economic health of the economy. And when we see this pushing this drive for individual personal wealth, not that it wasn't there before, not to say that all of a sudden in the 1980s that people became selfish and greedy, but this idea of trickle down economics really kind of exemplified it the best. Additionally, we see this emergence of what we call these yuppies, these young, couple different ways of explaining it, young urban professionals, young professional people, whatever. But these are the young individuals in the 1980s that are super driven, office jobs, they're high earners, spending their money on personal products. Obviously, that's an overly general description, but we see that coming out in the 1980s where they are kind of symbolic of this greed that that is as a result of Reaganomics. I'm not saying not result because the greed was there, but that is allowed to flourish because of Reaganomics, right? And part of with those cuts for Reagan is that with the massive growth, massive expansion of military spending, the cuts had to come from somewhere. All right, and that really hurts these programs that are helping the poor, hurts the programs that are helping those that are struggling, and turns the U.S. into a more significant borrowing nation than it had been before. And we see he easily wins election in 1984. He defeats Mondale and the Democrat Mondale and his vice presidential candidate Geraldine Ferraro, by a similar popular vote margin that he beat Carter by in 1980, and he even widens the gap of the Electoral College even more. So we see that his first term was really focused on shrinking the federal government, reducing the power, the control of the federal government, part of that, the conservative ideology. But then we see a significant shift for his second term in terms of strengthening U.S. foreign policy. Not to say that he didn't have any kind of focus on foreign policy in his first term, but his second term has a much stronger emphasis on the foreign policy side of his presidency. And we see him meeting with foreign leaders. We see a much more active role of the United States around the world in the second term. All right, so we'll pause there and then restart with the this next video talking about Reagan's conservative, in quotes, foreign policy. So I'll see you guys next time.